joining us today in celebration of Patriot Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I am so honored to really address you as a community that has contributed so much to Chicago, and certainly from the business perspective and the worker perspective. For those of you that know our office, the role of the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection is to, uh, advocate and regulate the business and the worker policies across the city. But our job is also to be front and center and make sure that we are understanding and listening to our consumers and impacting and addressing the consumer protection. Today, we have a great panel and panelists that are joining us today. Before, though, I get started, I definitely want to just thank Edwin Tumulus, who is our assistant director here in our office of the Small Business Office, who is making sure we are working with all our chambers and business partners across the city. So thank you, Edwin, also for facilitating this, helping us to facilitate this conversation. So if, I don't think it's good for me to talk too much. What I would like to do is start with introducing our panelists, but then having each of the panelists just provide a little bit about yourself and really to introduce yourself. So let me call each of you out. Are all the panelists present, Edwin?
Actually, we're all except for one. Kelly
Okay.
has yet to join us.
All right, so why don't we start with Dennis Mondero?
Hi, thank you, Director Escareno. Hey, everyone, I'm Dennis Bondero. I'm the executive director of a nonprofit in Chicago called Chinese Mutual Aid. This year marks the 40th year that we have been around, so celebrating a great milestone. And actually, our quick plug in November, our gala, Mayor Lightfoot will be our keynote, which we're really excited about. Our main location is in the uptown neighborhood of Chicago, on Argyle Street, and actually had the pleasure of walking with Mayor Lightfoot just about like 6 weeks ago on Argyle and Broadway and where she met with several different businesses that were affected by the pandemic and whatnot. Chinese Mutual Aid provides a wide array of services from youth programming, elderly care, social services. We are the second largest provider of ESL, English as a second language, in the state of Illinois, only behind the city colleges of Chicago. And then we also have a vibrant workforce development department, which helps people get jobs. Proudly, about a year ago, we became certified by Illinois DCEO to become a small business development center. So we are right now the only Asian affiliated FBDC in the state of Illinois. And so we help entrepreneurs, like people who want to start a business, or small businesses who want to like figure out how to scale up, and we can provide them business counseling from proven MBAs, people who have been entrepreneurs. We connect them to lenders, accountants, the bar associations, including the Chinese American Bar, the Asian American Bar, and the Filipino American Lawyers Association, things of that sort. The SBDC at Chinese Mutual Aid has also been providing a series of webinars, educational webinars, so that last year we helped people like navigate PPP and EIDL loans. Right now, if you go to the ChineseMutualAid.org website, and I'll put the website in our chat, you can see that we have a resources link. And so if you are a restaurant owner and you're trying to understand how to apply for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, we have like instruction manuals there. It was really cool that even stakeholders for us, like associate board members, were actually helping small business owners apply for the Restaurant Revitalization Fund, because we know that some of our mom and pop owners in the immigrant community don't have ready access to computers and know how to like upload different things. So it was really a great effort. Also, we're proud to say that we are one of, I think, 12 delegate agencies for the city of Chicago that the city's able to give out. I think it's like something like 40 million for tenant relief, and that funding is going directly to landlords, so long as the tenants can, if they were affected by the pandemic and are low income. And so what is cool about that program, Chinese Mutual Aid ourselves are going to be giving out about $1 million directly to landlords in the next like 2-3 months. And so it's really important. I think we are one of either the only one or like one of two AAPI organizations that are doing that as a delegate agency for the city. So it's really important that we get word out to the immigrant community that that these funds are available to help landlords who are struggling with their mortgage because their tenants haven't been paying, that there is an opportunity for them to be made whole. So, so again, ChineseMutualAid.org, and my email is also, if you like, go to the About, my email is there, but I'll type it all in the chat. Thanks, Rick.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Dennis, for that great introduction, really giving all those who are attending a great bit of information about what your organization does, and really extremely proud to partner with you as a city on all the different programs that you're doing. So let me now introduce Kelly Chang, co-owner of and general manager of Sanhua Barbecue. So Kelly, are you on?
Yeah, I don't think she's on yet, Commissioner.
Not a problem. Let's go to Christine Ledesma, owner of Kubo Chicago.
Hi,
Christine.
Hi, Commissioner. This is Christine Ledesma. I'm a co-owner of a Filipino restaurant, a very local small restaurant in Lakeview. We were open sometime in 2017, and with the help of everyone, we were able to survive COVID. So thank you for inviting me.
No, thank you. I will tell you, I always call businesses in Chicago our champions and our real heroes. This year has been so devastating. So Christine, thank you so much for just joining us today. I think your input is going to be so instrumental and essential to this conversation. All right, so let's go to Emma Yu, Executive Director of Chicago Chinatown Chamber of Commerce. So Emma, you want to just provide us a little bit about who you are and what the organization does?
Sure, Commissioner. Thank you, Commissioner, and thank you, BACP, for inviting me to this great discussion as a panelist. I'm the Executive Director of Chicago Chinatown Chamber of Commerce, and I see that in the attendees list, our president, Mr. Pat McShann, is actually also here. So Chinatown Chamber of Commerce has been serving this community and serving the small businesses for 38 years. We are also the service provider of the newly established SSA, the SSA 73. We are hosting some very big events in the community, such as the Dragon Ball Race for Literacy, which we just kick off the registration for this year. So if you're interested, please make sure you visit our website and to register for your team. So we are here to help the small businesses in and around Chinatown. Thank you again.
No, thank you so much. And definitely welcome to your executive director for also joining us in this conversation. Emma, I think the Chinatown Chamber of Commerce, I've been a commissioner for going on 4 years. And even before, I think our department for historically has had a very strong partnership with the chamber. And I'm just really proud of all the work that you guys do, and absolutely just excited to have this conversation today. I think it's going to be very helpful to our guests that are inviting us. All right, let me move to Spencer Eng, owner of Triple Crown Restaurant. Spencer, why don't you give us a little introduction and tell us a little bit about your business?
Hey, hi. Thanks, Commissioner. My name is Spencer Ring. I'm the owner of Triple Crown Restaurant here in Chicago's Chinatown. We've been in Chicago's Chinatown since 1995, and I'm the second generation business owner. Took it over from my mom. So we're so happy to be here still. Being a big restaurant in Chicago's Chinatown and going through what we went through last year was definitely it took a lot. So
Thank you so much, Spencer. I can't believe what's happened. I mean, it still all feels so surreal, right? And
yep.
so hearing you say that just takes me back to parts of this past year that have just been so devastating. So grateful to have you and all of our panelists here today. So Edwin, if you don't mind, when Kelly Chang joins, just let me know and I can definitely make sure we introduce her. So we're going to start the conversation, but if you guys will allow me literally just 2 minutes to introduce myself, and then also to just provide a little bit of context, and then we're going to open up with questions. So my name is Rosa Escareño. I'm the Commissioner of the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection. As I just stated, I've been the commissioner going on 4 years now. I have to say that one of the missions when I became commissioner was to ensure that we were engaging with all of our communities across the city to make sure that we were coordinating and sharing and engaging. So engagement has been huge for me. Reason why Edwin Tumilis and the Small Business Center, Kenya Merritt, who oversees that division, has been doing an extraordinary job of just really folding in all the chambers and the communities to make sure that you know what we do here, because our department is charged with, again, being the advocate, but also the regulator of businesses across the city. So everything from your ride share to ride hail to your apps to your restaurants to your corner stores and even the boats that are captained that are businesses on the water. So everything is between we handle at this department. So there is so much information and regulation. I think that the past year has been, and I'm glad that it's our 4th year in. And so we had been building these years about building that engagement. And this past year, the culmination of all that engagement, I think, proved to be very helpful the last year because it really helped us reach to all of you throughout the year with the multiple and constant changes that resulted as part of the pandemic. So one goal was engagement. Another goal was figuring out how we can simplify our regulations for businesses across the city, and building transparency and information because we know how hard it is to run a business. And then another important goal for me was diversity on my team, building the diversity, because I think in order for us to run government that really understand what our businesses and communities go through, it's only if we ourselves can translate what is happening into policy, regulations, and information. So having a diverse team for me has been essential. I'm very proud of the team that I built, and we have a lot of diversity in our department. And so with that, let me just say that obviously there's just a lot more that we have done. We yesterday just introduced what we're calling the Shy Biz Strong initiative, which is Fran Spielman in the newspaper called it the kitchen sink regulation and relief. And I'm sorry, cutting the regulation and cutting red tape for our businesses in order to reopen and recover from the pandemic. So what we are providing is we're providing an additional $10 million on top of the $100 million the mayor already put in over the pandemic. We're adding an additional $10 million. We have a debt relief program in our package. We also are doing eliminating red tape on permits, eliminating red tape on licensing, specifically closure restaurants, allowing them to reopen. We're helping the taxi industry with relief. And we're doing a lot of worker protections, including protecting domestic workers, making sure we're addressing the practice of wage theft, which many of our communities are workers who are subject to violations. We're paying a lot of close attention. So I encourage all of you to take a look at this package. Our goal is to be helpful and to try to help our city recover quickly. But a little bit, as you guys are experts, but I just want to repeat for those that are joining us a few of what the contributions have been of the Asian American and Pacific Islander community is to our economy. I mean, today your community has so many different ethnic groups and populations that are part of of your community. And, in terms, the population is growing. Every year continues to grow. Also, more than 550,000 Asian-owned businesses in the United States, incredible number of operators and owners. Almost 10% of all businesses in the United States, or 1 out of 10, are, Asian American and Pacific Islander. Also, there are more than 5,100 native Hawaiians and other Pacific Islanders that own businesses in the United States. So again, accounting for 1 of every 100. So I can't thank you enough as a community and as such an important part of our economic progress. I also don't want to start without just saying that in Chicago, we have been very, very boisterous about the hate and discrimination that has happened even more so over the past year, and that we will not stand for that. The mayor has been very, very open and very, loud about her concern and the non-tolerance of this type of behavior across our city. We have worked closely with our commanders across the city to ensure that any time that there is an issue, that we are working with our commanders to address it, and also enhancing over the past year, just the presence of our public safety across the many corridors has been top of mind. So with that, I will tell you, I am so happy that we are coming out of this, but we are not out of the woods. And so today's, I want to pose, and I don't know if Kelly has joined us. No?
Yes, it has, Commissioner.
Great. So before we start the questions, Kelly, what we were doing is just a little bit of an introduction. So Kelly Chang, co-owner and general manager of Sanwa Barbecue. Do you want to just tell us who you are and tell us a little bit about your business?
Hi, my name is Kelly. I'm from Sunwa Barbecue Restaurant. We've been in the Argyle neighborhood for, wow, over 30 years now. Currently, my siblings and I are the ones who run the restaurant, but our parents are still around. So we've been there a long time, and I pretty much grew up working in this neighborhood, and it's kind of near and dear to us, which is why we've never moved.
That's wonderful. I mean, I'm so glad you and our other business owners that are joining us here, just so proud. And again, so happy that you're making it. We're not out of the woods, but you guys, amazing job. Anything we can do. And I think today's panel will help inform those that are listening in how, we're going to get into the very first question. And I think what we'll do is we'll ask each of you to respond to the question. And then certainly we can then go to the first. So I guess the first question is, how would you say, and we understand the pandemic impacted everybody, all the businesses across the world, but across our city. Well, how would you say the impact of COVID impacted the business that you have? Where were you before? Where are you today? And what's next? So why don't we start with, let's start with Dennis. I know that you're a business organization, and I know that you're providing all kinds of important services, but can you talk a little bit about where was the organization before, during the pandemic, and what's next?
Sure. So I'm blessed with a lot of coworkers that during the entirety of the pandemic were still brave enough to go out and be frontline essential workers. And so during the pandemic, just like for all the frontline essential workers, like our home care aides go into the homes of the elderly and help take care of them. And people were freaking out, right? Like, like the word PPE, personal protective equipment. No one knew what PPE was, and next thing you know, now we're buying about $10,000 worth of PPE a month to give out face masks and rubber gloves and alcohol wipes and all the rest of it to our staff. So so now that we're hopefully getting on the other side of the pandemic, hopefully life can return to normal. What I think is striking is that like our admin staff is close to 100% vaccinated, but our home care aid staff is more closer to like 70, 75 percent vaccinated, and it kind of tracks how, like folks that are less educated, are a bit more wary of getting vaccinated. And so we've been really trying to push that, because for a while there, it was like at 40%, 50%, and we were really trying to push. And so we've seen some success in getting our home care aids vaccine rates up to 70-75%, but it's now trying to really persuade them that and to dispel rumors about what the vaccines do, and that really it's in everyone's benefit to be vaccinated as quickly as possible.
Well, thank you. I think I agree with you. I think the vaccinations is the way to go, demystifying all the negative and wrong information. But let's talk to Kelly. No, let's go to Christine, owner of Kubo. Talk to us about before, during, and after. And how is the future? What do we need to do to make things better for businesses?
Yeah, so during pandemic, we were coming in as our third year, and it was, the first 2-3 years was tough already, but being a small business and being new to the business, it's really tough for us. And then all of a sudden just shut down, and we didn't know what to do. So, well, no one does what to do. No one does know what to do, but with the help of everyone, with City of Chicago, with all other foundation, we were able to survive it. We barely, make nothing from June till, open up partially and then close down and open up again. It was really tough. People doesn't know what to do if they're coming into a restaurant, if they're supposed to, or they should stay home. So it was really tough. But looking at now, I can still see the future. I can see bright future for it. So we're hoping it's going to be opening up soon, with everyone's going to be vaccinated, and to welcome everyone else to the restaurants.
And then Christine, if I may just ask, your personal, how did this impact you personally, and what are the changes that you see in the future?
So personally, it was tough for me because I have family who has who are affected already. Before pandemic, they were not really healthy, so it was tough. I was out all the time because I have to be in the business, and they have to stay home, and I can't be with them sometimes. Well, they actually isolated me. I stayed most of the time at the office and at the restaurant because I'm worried for them. I'm worried for their health, because one of my daughter has cancer, so I can't be back, and I have a 12-year-old, so it's tough. It's not easy because we don't know what's gonna happen, or what am I bringing in back to them. So I try to isolate myself.
Great. So why don't we go to just quickly to Spencer? We heard from Christine. Talk to us, Spencer, about your experience just being another business owner, in terms of, before, during, and then after, and what hope do you see for the future?
So 2019, we had probably one of our best years. We were looking to expand and opening a bar in our basement. We actually pulled permits with the city December of 2019. We launched our own beer, partnering with Mars Brewing in Bridgeport on our beer line. We did a jasmine tea lager, so we were ready to launch. And then the pandemic comes in March, and I was just like, I didn't know how to react. I didn't know what was going on. All my employers are coming to me, and I was like, "Hey, we're city shutting us down, no dining. We'll figure out the schedule." And I tried our best to keep our staff on. We have a 200-seat restaurant on the second floor in the heart of Chinatown, so it was definitely hard to keep the wait staff. We try to pivot right away to online ordering and using all the delivery apps and ordering apps, and it was tough at first just adapting to that, because that was not really our core of our business. And coming out of it now, it's like trying to get the staff back into work. It's like, all right, getting everyone back. And I would like to say majority, I'll say 90% of the staff, hopefully 100% will be vaccinated in 2 weeks. A lot of them got their second shot already. Coming out of it, so we're looking forward, but at the same time, we're still kind of trying to figure out how we're going to move forward. pretty optimistic.
Let me ask you just a couple questions, Spencer. You said, pivoting. It's interesting. I hear you talk about how you really try to keep your employees. I will tell you, so many of the small business owners tried so hard to keep everybody working as long as possible because you knew, and this is what I'm hearing from business owners, you knew the impact. If you cut their jobs, that's it, right? They're done. It's the only way that they could sustain themselves. So tell me about the pivot, though, in terms of. So thank you for that. Is that I hear that, and this is why. Oh, it was so hard for us because we saw these stories, heard these stories every day, and so it was just so heart wrenching for me, and it kind of takes me back to those days. And so thank you for that. I know many of you took so many sacrifices, and we so appreciate it. But tell me about the pivot of the pivot to online and how you weren't prepared for that, and what do you think that did to your business, and how do you see yourself going forward? What lessons did you learn?
That our model, our dine-in model, we're traditional dim sum restaurants, so it's really hustling, bustling. But for us to have an online presence, I think that's what we need as business owners, to move forward. A lot of my wait staff became food packers, and then some of the staff I've seen their kids grow up. They've been with us that long, so it's amazing, and at the same time, but also hurting because I'm like, hey, I don't know how many hours I got for you to work this week or this month. We jumped on every platform. I hosted virtual like dumpling making classes just to get some word out there, just doing different things to get some sales and getting exposure out there. We worked with different groups to feeding first responders. And we had some amazing customers, local customers that came and kept supporting us, getting us through that. So moving forward, maybe focus more on tech for our business, trying to figure out how to integrate that. There's a lot of different sites out there, like you could ship food. There's a Gold Belly where you can ship food nationwide, dry ice. So just getting that on a national level, and exposure out there.
Wow, I have to just say it's like amazing, and congratulations for just getting through, to be honest, and coming out on the other side, and let's hope for more. But thank you for all that you're doing. Let me go to Kelly, and then we're going to go to Emma after. Kelly, just trying to get all the business sort of input here. Tell us about before the pandemic, during the pandemic, and right after, and what is your sort of vision for the future as well?
Just before the pandemic, 2019 was coming off of our James Beard Award year in 2018. So we were doing pretty good. And it was crazy. I mean, it was really the leftovers of 2018, and we were still seeing packed house. We had people Christmas Day making reservations for 2020 Christmas. Most of like the Chamber and Uptown United, where we are, they all and the alderman's office, we were in the midst of organizing our New Year's parade, and suddenly there was news that New York was going to close down, and everyone said, hey, do we need to cancel the parade? I said, well, wouldn't that create more panic? That was my reaction. And in discussing with my dad too, it was very, well, what do we do? Well, if it is a pandemic, if it is something that's going to be that major globally, it's actually better to keep the masses calm. Don't create havoc where you don't need to. And so we just went about our lives like usual. And when the mayor said, okay, we're going to be in lockdown, okay, so we're going to try to be open for as long as possible. We lasted about 6 days into the first lockdown. And it was literally from almost capacity every weekend and probably 80% capacity during the week to 0, even for takeout. And it was a very eye-opening 6 days as to what we could do, what we couldn't do. So we closed for about 20 days and just kind of regrouped, let the staff kind of work out their fears, and everyone quarantined basically. So we said, okay, everyone's going to quarantine. Let's make sure none of us have it before we do anything else. And then it was discussions with the staff almost daily after about day 12 or 13, because we wanted to go back to work. And so it was discussing with them, hey, do you guys want to work? If you are scared to work, if you can't work, tell me now, because I will make schedules so that if you want to work, we're going to get you in. If you don't want to work, I'm going to leave you off until you feel ready to work. And so it was really a discussion. Your staff, like Spencer says, some of your staff have been with you for so long. They're part of your family. And obviously you want to look out not just for your own, but for all of them. And it really was a moment where you have to look not only now 1 or 2 steps down the road, you had to look 3, 4, 5, 6 steps down the road. I did a lot of research. I kind of honed in on what Hong Kong was doing, with a lot of my dad's friends from China calling him every other day, and then his friends from New York filling in the days that China wasn't calling, and they were giving him all kinds of horror stories. My dad kind of froze and said, you know what, we should stay closed. We can afford it. Why risk our lives? And I said, well, sometimes it's not just about risking your life. There are things we can do to protect ourselves. Certainly the first thing I did was jump on my sewing machine and started making masks for everyone on the staff. Because that's what works. We were having trouble buying PPE, and my thoughts were, let's save that stuff for real frontline workers. At the time, it really wasn't, we're not really frontline workers. We're the back people that help feed these guys. Leave the PPE for the medical people, leave the PPE for the police and the fire department. We can make our own, nothing is not DIY-able. That was the mentality. And so we pretty much, everything from that moment on was, if we could DIY it, we DIY'd it. Not that, we haven't always been that way, but it became even more so. So we would make our own masks. The girls on my staff, they all had sewing machines, and they said, hey, if you cut this stuff, we'll make them, because our family could use it too. And I said, okay, these are scraps for me anyway. So I cut as many as I could. They made masks on their own, to pass around to their husbands, spouses, whoever, family, whoever needed them. And when we all came back to work, I blatantly said, listen, we don't know what it's going to look like. We're only working part-time. So we took it real slow. I really focused on kind of what the things people in Hong Kong were doing. I loved the Black Sheep restaurant group. They had a really awesome handbook, so I stole plays out of their book. We're still, requiring the signing of our health declaration. It's basically, leave me your info, I can contact trace for you, which last summer I did 3 times. And it really made customers feel like, oh, this place cares about us. So even when we opened dine-in, not only was it the 6 feet, we stuck to, no, you can't have more than X many people at the table. Well, we'll give you a bigger tip. Screw you. Your tip's not worth the ticket, We had people, well, I don't want to wear a mask. Nope, you have to wear a mask. If you don't wear a mask, I'm not serving. Well, once I sit down, you can't do anything to me. Yeah, I can. I can stop service right then and there. You're going to pay for whatever you ordered, and then I'm going to kick you out. We were those evil people. we didn't take any BS from anybody, and we took pride in it. And actually, it made the 95 to 98% of the other customers that were either listening to us on the phone while we were trying to take an order, or that were in the restaurant watching us deal with this, go, yes, kudos to you. And those people we would see more often, because they really wanted to support us. They really saw that we were trying. And even those 2 or 3% cases, we weren't making the exception to say, go ahead. I mean, at some point my sister and I were so harsh that our parents said, it's going to bite us in the butt. And I said, no, it won't. And even if it does, we'll deal with it, because after this last year, I'm pretty sure we can deal with anything. And because we were so adamant about everything, because we were always the ones at the front door, we never forced the staff to go out and face the customers if we didn't have to. Our staff were, okay, if you only have, 30 hours for me, I'll take the 30 hours. They didn't question. So they, went out and got part-time jobs doing Uber driving, doing delivery, whatever, stuff, work they could find. And we worked around that. And now that we're more normal-ish, we've been able to keep about 80% of our staff because we were very careful about that in the beginning. And the staff are definitely grateful for that. So most of them still have full-time jobs, and they're kind of okay with that.
Oh, wow. I mean, incredible. These stories are just, I wish I had time to like write all these wonderful stories, because I will tell you, I hope we never repeat this again, but the tenacity and the strength of all of you is so inspiring. And I know we're going to be stronger, but just Kelly, just to wrap up your comments, what does the future look like for your business?
Oh, we're going to take this one day at a time, really. Currently, just because CDC says it's okay for unvaccinated or vaccinated people not to wear their mask, everything that we've dealt with so far has told us doesn't matter if you're vaccinated, not vaccinated, people will do what they want. So we have stuck to our rules. City has eased things, so we said that's fine, but masks are still in place, signing our forms are still in place. We'll change as things happen, and we'll turn and pivot, so to speak. Are we going to keep the to-go going? Absolutely. It's always been part of the business. Are we going to let more people back in? Up to a point, yes. As for whatever the restrictions go up to, and then whatever rules we think we need to impose, just so people are aware. It's really bringing awareness to the public that, oh, we're still in a pandemic. There are people out there that aren't vaccinated yet and can't be vaccinated yet or don't want to be. We don't mandate that the entire staff be vaccinated. Everyone has their reasons. I have kids, so I'm vaccinated, but that doesn't mean I can't bring it home to my child. So once I tell these to like 98% of the customers, they're like, okay, you know what? You're absolutely right. I'm going to go get my mask. You just
We
deal with
need to
it.
hire you for our public awareness campaigns, Kelly, because
We're just crazy about it. We are. I even my staff are kind of like, man, after a year of this, she's still like, she's the mama hen. Like, you can't get past the two of them. Between my sister and myself. My brother, he's got his mask off half the time. It drives us insane. But he's good about, customers in the door, he'll put it back on. But like, if we see somebody that comes in without a mask, sorry, you need a mask on. We'll take your order, but get your mask.
well, thank you, Kelly. You and our entrepreneurs on this call just really have provided the different perspectives of what we've just been through and what we're still going through. So thank you. Let me move to Emma and to, as we've listened to the business owners, I mean, the chamber is listening on a regular basis to these issues. Tell us how the organization has survived and how you've stepped up and you've carried all of these issues on your shoulder, and you have to then bring it to us and push us to do a better job. Emma, tell us a little bit more about what the chamber is doing, how you have really advocated for all of these businesses across the city and certainly in the area, but broadly.
Sure. We've seen the negative impact of the pandemic even before it struck the whole United States. I mean, back in February 2020, when there were only less than 10 confirmed cases reported by CDC in the United States, people already stopped or refused coming to Chinatown. Chinatown is actually, I would call it a tourism destination. So economy here largely is depending on the tourism businesses such as the restaurants, the gift stores, hotels here. So we've seen that negative impact way before it hit other areas, other neighborhoods in Chicago. And that is before the pandemic. And then in March, all of a sudden it broke out here in the United States. And people, as the previous panelist said, people were, we didn't know what to do because it's the first time for everyone. And at that time, people kind of related it to the SARS in 2003. And we were hoping that it could be just gone in 2-3 months, you know. But then there was a lockdown in the city in Illinois, and at that time we already called every of our member. We have an active about 200 members, and one quarter of our member are restaurants. So we called every of them. We created the list who are offering the pickups, the deliveries. We call them every week, and we updated our list, and we put it on our social platforms. We put it on Facebook, Instagram, our website, and also for those people who are more comfortable with Chinese language, we push the list out on WeChat and all these platforms. And then in summer 2020, you know, when the weather became warmer, the situation just looked better, and the BACP started the sidewalk cafe program. So we helped. We that was in June 2020. I remember we came back to Chamber's office because we worked from home. I mean, Chamber's staff worked from home in April and May, and then we came back to the office, although it was still quite risky for us, to be honest. But because the businesses they started opening, so we have to be back here to serve them. At that time, we helped pushing out the information about the sidewalk cafe application. I remember we worked really closely with BACP and even CDOT to apply for. We were struggling whether we should close down Wentworth, the traffic in Wentworth at all, or we did a survey for all the businesses on Wentworth Avenue to see if they are willing to see the Wentworth being closed, and all this information, all these suggestions, concerns that we collected from our members, from the business owners here in Chinatown. And eventually we decided that, hey, it's their decision that they want to see the Wentworth still being open, traffic can go through, so people can pull over to pick up their food and all these things. So then we helped the businesses on Wentworth to apply for the outdoor dining. That was in summer. Then back in October, we already anticipated that, hey, when the cold weather hit Chicago, they will have problem again, you know. So we were working with BACP again and the business owners, and we're trying to push people to, hey, here is realism. I know that people might not want to set up tents in cold weathers outside their stores, and they might not want to do this, but realistically, to survive, we probably have to go for that step, and we help those people to people who want to do this. We help them to get a permit and how to and even for the resources where to get these tents, materials, installation. We help them. And we also, our board of directors, some are very resourceful. They actually donated a lot of PPEs to the local small businesses, the masks, the hand sanitizers, all these PPE back in April, in May, you know, when it was really hard to purchase these PPE here in the United States. And in the beginning of this year, February and March, the businesses, they were really looking forward to the warm weather, to spring and the summer, because a lot of the owners told me that, hey, they think if they can get through this summer, they will survive. If not, there will be a big problem for them. So they were really looking forward. And then we all know that what happened in Georgia at the time, and it really, it was scary for some of the owners. Although we're blessed, we're in Chicago. We actually we do not see that as many of the ethnic related crimes here in Chicago as in other areas in the United States. There is just a sentiment here, right? So we actually hosted we call it a spring kickoff event. It was a virtual event. It was March, end of March, and we actually went out. We hired a professional videographer. We went out. We interviewed 10 of our members, especially restaurants. And you can still find it on Chamber's website. So the purpose of this event is to let the world outside of the Chinatown hear what these small businesses in Chinatown, what they have experienced, how they struggled, and how they survived until then. That was the purpose. And along the way, thanks to BACP, we've constantly received all this information about financial assistance, about all this. It's all about information, right? During the pandemic, we are on phase 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes it's very confusing for the business owners to pick up this information. What are we supposed to do? What is allowed? How many people are allowed for indoor dining?
Well, you know what, Emma, I have to tell you, I think we lost count how many webinars, but we definitely had 40 guideline changes in the year. We were holding, I'm sure we blasted you guys with information. We were having webinars almost, I think, once or twice a week throughout this entire year. So thank you. I mean, you guys have been great in sharing the information to the businesses, and often, Emma, in different languages, which so helpful. So thank you so much for everything that you guys have done. We do have a little bit of limited time because are we able, we're done at 2, right, Edwin? Okay, great. So Emma, if it's okay with you, what I'd like to do to just make sure, I want to get everybody's input in a way that we can get everybody's input on 2 questions. So let's start with you, Emma, since I have you on the call right now.
Sure.
One is, give me a suggestion on businesses, how they can grow despite this crisis, and 2, what we government can do better. So one of each, if you had to pick one.
I will probably pick the question number 1 since I've been thinking about it. So my suggestion or recommendation for businesses who are seeking to grow or even to start a new business is we probably will work with the post-pandemic situation. Think about creating some new business strategies. Traditional ways might not work anymore or might not work as well. So we might lean more on the modern technology, the way how we market our business, all these strategies, and think about the target groups, your target clients, customers, right? We have to tailor our strategy. And also, last but not least, work with Chamber. We're here to help you.
Thank you so much, Emma. You have to plug your organization, absolutely. So thank you so much. Let me go to Dennis Bondero. So again, what's your advice to the workers or the people, the constituency you represent, or how could we in government do things better to support what you do?
Sure, I'll take the second question. Thank you, Commissioner. So and actually so there are many businesses like Chinese Mutual Aid, like the Chinatown Chamber of Commerce, where we are actually in a position to help other businesses like B2B, right? But we have to provide a lot of our metrics to our funders, like whether it's the City of Chicago, like DFSS, whether it's to your department, whether it's to Illinois DCEO. And then we have to like redundantly put that into our own database, right? And none of the databases talk to each other, right? And we've been asking for this for years. And I think it's this really interesting time where when President Biden's infrastructure plan, I heard that the Republican counter was at 1 trillion, right? So the sides are coming together, and you know, and I know like when we had the RO Reinvestment Act in 2008, I was a member, an employee at the City of Chicago back then, and like departments were like, oh, how could we spend this money? Like a really great way to spend the money is on an infrastructure that works for everyone, such as like going to Salesforce, and then really making it like a powerful CRM that can interact with all of the contract providers, and like in a way that streamlined processes, right? Because like so many departments say, how can we cut and eliminate bureaucratic red tape, but no one really does anything about it. And this is something that if we've got significant federal dollars coming in, this is something that we could like create a legacy that will last for the next 20 years.
So Dennis, I'm going to tell you, the day we do that, we've championed it. We have so many, every department has a different system. We have old systems, we have new systems, we still have paper. So that is the goal. But I think it's going to take a monumental task to get that done. We've asked for it because we know that that's exactly something we need to do. So thank you for that advice. So let me go back to, let me go with Christine. Christine, so advice of how to grow businesses as we come out of this, or how to, what do we need to do better at government?
For me, I would suggest for the city of Chicago to give or disseminate information, very simplified dissemination or simplified information, because sometimes it's really hard to look for the website, what are the guidelines or the regulation. It's very tough for us. And I know that I get a lot of information too for where to ask help and where to ask, where to find foundation or where to find, companies and foundation that gives out funds. So that was really helpful. And of course, always go through your local chamber of commerce because they are very helpful in finding some help.
Thank you so much. We're trying. We were trying to make it as simple as possible. We know we have to take these complicated laws and then translate it into normal speak. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm always like, somebody translate this for me. So I absolutely understand, Christine. Why don't we go to Spencer? Tell me advice for how we grow or how we at the city could do things better.
I'll answer the first one. I probably remain optimistic, try new things, and just, what the last year taught us was, nothing. We're not comfortable. Just gotta keep moving and don't stay stagnant. Keep changing. So.
What about us? What could we be doing better? Don't give me a long list because I know there's a lot we could do better. Tell me. I'm good with criticism.
I think working with the business and don't penalize us. If something is not up to par. I just felt like we're coming out of the pandemic and just give us time to catch up. Especially if you have a big facility or people coming back on board.
Well, thank you, Spencer, for that. And let me just tell you that during the pandemic, just because I know you heard a lot about how we were cracking down, I will tell you that we were only cracking down on the very, very bad people or bad operators. Most of them were illegal. And for the most part, when we were issuing a ticket, it was a notice to correct. And so even if you look at how many penalties we handed out, very little. We just made a big splash because we wanted everybody to behave.
Yeah.
But you have my commitment that on my side, my team, we're going to try to be as light-handed as we can. So thank you for that. And then let's end with Christine. Christine, you get to tell us the last word. tell us what advice you have for business or for me, how we can do things better in government.
So I think for the new business that
Oh,
are
I'm sorry.
coming, or
Sorry, go ahead, Christine. I meant to say Kelly, but go ahead, Christine.
yeah,
One
no,
more, and
I
then we'll
think
go to Sean.
I think with BACP for all the information, and hoping that it will get better soon.
Great, thank you. Okay, I meant Kelly. Kelly.
Definitely how to do better is on every business owner themselves. You can't really advise someone in their business if they know it best, but definitely don't be afraid of using technology. In the past year, obviously we're, myself, I'm in a generation where technology is kind of part of life and very normal. My dad has learned the power of Facebook this year. I mean, he's always known it, but it's like it really hit him in the face. The power of social media in general, the older generation has learned, and I think a lot of places in Chinatown on Argyle Street, there are so many first generation immigrants that run their businesses. Because of language barriers, they don't know how to use technology. I think it's important that they not be afraid of it. So whether it's using an app or their phone or whatever it is, if the city has anything to help smaller businesses like that so that there's a bridge for them to not even learn it, even if it's just to help them have a presence, I think it would make a huge difference. And even if you're not marketing, so to speak, each individual business, market that area. Obviously we've all been watching YouTube a lot, and I see a lot of trends where on YouTube even a lot of YouTubers are helping their communities by doing cheap eats food crawls and highlighting, this area, like in classic example, Manhattan, New York, they highlight these places have cheap eats, and then they go up in price range. And so they do a series of, different places that they hit where, this place has X, Y, and Z for this price point. Next group would be, slightly higher price point. Things like, and it brings, from a different perspective, brings more people back into the neighborhood because people will realize, I should support local. I should go and help these restaurants that are so small business. They're in need. I can go there. And so I think even if the city has something like that, where you focus on different areas that are disparate, whether it's Chinatown or Pilsen or, Argyle, it makes a difference if there is on a government level a more concerted effort to promote these small areas.
Well, Kelly, I want to tell you, I am going to be looking up every address of all the businesses that are here. I'm going to go eat at your place, have a beer at, the other place, and then just have a dessert at the next place. And then I'm going to bring the two organizations to come with me so that we can bring the attention to businesses. Thank you all so much. And Kelly, I agree with you. We're focusing a lot more on tech. A lot of people are very afraid. Some people still don't even have a website presence. They don't know how to use social media to promote their businesses. So we promise that we will continue. We've learned that through the pandemic, and we're trying to do more webinars on that. We also are trying to simplify our process. So absolutely, Spencer, to the points that you're making, and Christine as well. But to the two organizations, thank you for all that you're doing for workers, for business. And we are so proud that you are still here. And thank you for just doing everything that you do. Because Chicago cannot be this amazing city. I mean, we are the hospitality center of the world, and we were that before that. We want to make sure we're continuing that. And we're going to get there with all of you helping us, lead on that forefront. So thank you guys so much. Edwin, anything else we've missed? I definitely applaud you. Congratulations on this important Heritage Month. And I promise that this month, to Kelly's point, we will be out in the neighborhoods promoting all the small businesses and just asking people. That's something we do all the time, but we need to do more of it. Support local, walk your neighborhoods, support the local corridors. So we will do that, and we promise to stay on it. Edwin, you want
Commissioner.
to close us out?
Absolutely. You know, I just want to thank our panelists for their valuable time because I know you're very busy. Thank you for your resilience. Thank you for being a role model. You know, you are our heroes. You are essentially frontliners too. So you set a great example, and I think and I hope that the folks who are watching here are inspired to either continue and push on through this pandemic and or start their own businesses as well. So thank you for being an inspiration, and you know, keep pivoting, keep innovating, and as the commissioner said, we're always going to be here to help and support you, and we're definitely going to make our rounds and enjoy your establishments as well. So thank you for being part of this great discussion and supporting AAPIs all around, not only the businesses, but also obviously our community, making sure that we stop the hate. So thank you so much for your time.
And I'll just close with one final thing. Please follow us on social media. For those of you that are like, it's too difficult, Christine, I think you said that. Sometimes we put out small messages about what we're doing in a very simple way. So at a BACP Chicago, is it Chicago BACP? Or my own Twitter, which I'm trying to get my followers, is at Chicago_Rosa. So feel free to just tag on, and we send a lot of simple messages reminding you of different things that are important to business, workers, and consumers. So thank you so much, and go be great. And I will be showing up at your doorsteps at some point. Thank you.
Great. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Take
Take care.
care.